welcome everyone around the world.
And it's a really great day here in Mount Shasta. The mountain is looking fantastic with lots of snow on it.
Yeah, and it's got its lenticular clouds this morning, which means
It's got clouds.
apparently either it's just got clouds because of perfectly natural weather patterns, or there's some galactical activity happening.
And we have some galactic activity happening here today also with Viviane. Hi, Viviane.
Hello, Prakeet. Hello, Jules. Always a joy to be with you in the Stargate. Beautiful family and everyone joining us, including the beautiful translators. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, so Viviane is joining us today to give another perspective from beyond Gaia on the changes that are happening and the waves of change, because it's a constant movement and constant shifting of timelines and experiences, and we're really looking forward to your perspective.
Absolutely. And I love the multi-layered of that perspective, because we know that we are in that space of transcending time and space. And what does it mean is that there's so many profound changes within ourselves and on the planet, in the solar system, even in the galactic level. So I love your introduction when you said, oh, beautiful here in Mount Shasta with the mountain covered with snow, and there's a lot of movement in the temperature, and on the galactic, which brings us today, we're going to be bringing in. I love that because I saw literally the presence of my Arcturian delegation, coming in and says, yes, we're settling in a space with you. So surfing the timeline together, it's really helping everyone to gain a deeper understanding with more calmness, stability, more certainty, and to know that this beautiful flow of changes on the planet, very normal. It is very natural, it's organic. You're very much in sync with the pulse of Mother Gaia, shifting even her own body structures and the grid system coming in 2024. So it is quite exciting, actually. You've been waiting for this for a long time, and it's finally unfolding more and more.
Yeah, it really is. And it's great that we're going to do something with Viviane in depth on the solstice day. So that's something to look forward to.
Oh, I am so excited. And on a personal note too, it will be, and I must say out loud, it will be our first year anniversary in terms of our friendship and our collaboration. And even though from a linear perspective is 1 year, we know that at a higher level, it's been a lot longer than that. We have been planning this for a long time, and yet here we are. So truly a joy to be with you. Always, our door is always open, as well, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about that higher level of connection. You mentioned, I don't know, a week or two ago, that you had an experience meeting the Etheric Stargate. Could you share that with everyone? Because I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, Praki, thank you for remembering. And I know I shared that with both of you first. So just to bring a little bit of perspective, many of you know that my Arcturian delegation and I have been with Prakeet, Jules, and many members of the amazing Stargate Experience family, both in Egypt and then for the gathering in Kos. And I had the joy and the privilege of becoming the co-host with the both of you and presenting at the same time. So I want to bring that background because it's once we got back to Arizona, where I live physically, and I said that my Arcturian father, I said, I can feel and see the presence of Alcazar. This is very palpable to me, very palpable. I said, there's something about the Stargate. I want to understand and get a deeper connection to it. So I sent a thought form. I do say a thought form because this is how we communicate. So they always reply, your thought form is received. Now let it go.
Hmm.
And so one night, as I was consciously relaxing in bed, Father came, and I can see through my third eye this beautiful royal blue portal of light. And I started to feel like I was in between deep sleep and still being conscious. I'm like in between. So Father came and said, we're going to take you out of body in your light body consciousness. And there's a consciousness and energy who wants to meet you. So I agreed. So I let myself go and I shifted into my light body consciousness. And I was taken to this beautiful place. I know it's an etheric place. Think of it as a place between this reality and the higher realms. It's like a midpoint. And so I entered the place and it was busy, a lot of people there, and everybody was getting ready for the event. And I asked, what event are we looking at? And they said, come. So I have my Octurian father and two others. Usually I travel at least with 3 Octurians. That's how we do it. So I enter the room and I literally saw the etheric aspect of what the Stargate is really about. So it looks a lot like the structure you have behind you. So this is a really accurate representation. Of course, you don't need me to know that. But the point I am making is that what you're looking at physically behind you and what I saw, it's 10 times more magnificent. The structures is more elongated. It's very, very tall. It has the similar structures and patterning in it. The difference is that within the structure, there are a multi-points money. I will rephrase that for the interpreter. There are multiple luminous points within the structures. So if you look at my banner behind me and you see the 2 imprints on each side, do you see those luminous purple dots around it? Which, by the way, those are blueprint of ships from the Octurians. So imagine these luminous dots that you're seeing right now on the screen will amplify by tenfold. And the entire structures emanate those dots of light throughout the entire structures. And the consciousness of the Stargate is truly phenomenal. And I was communicating with the Stargate consciousness. And one of the purposes is to help people etherically shift, evolve like there's no tomorrow. And so I could see people lining up, get inside, right in the center point, right at the core, the center point of the Stargate. And the Stargate start to vibrate and shift and vibrate really, really high in high frequencies. And I would immediately see the person, light body, expanding. It was incredible. And that was how the Stargate worked with people. They help everyone to bring you back into the next stage of your evolution from wherever you are. So naturally, I asked Father, I said, well, I want to be inside a Stargate. And he said, not now, because you have other tasks to do. So they brought me away into another room, which I was very reluctant to do, because I want to be with a Stargate and like the cats with the claw and, in the carpet, like, no, don't take me away. But I was going, and I was appointed other tasks. But when I went back one more time before I was returned properly into my physical form, I went back and I felt this transmission, this wonderful transmission between the Stargate consciousness and myself. And I look at this magnificent etheric presence, not structure, but presence. And I said, thank you for revealing your true essence to me. Thank you. Because now what happened is that it shifts the dynamic of how we work and how we interact and how we're going to be also even working with 2 of you in regard to the Stargate, because I know what it is now. I understand it. And when I went back to my body, I was so extremely grateful that my first thought was, I must connect with Pragit and Jules right away. But it was the middle of the night and you were sleeping. So I refrained from my enthusiasm and I went back to bed. And then the next day I reached out to says, guess what just happened? I know, I saw, I got to experience what the Stargate is really about. And even my words are limited compared to the presence of it. So the fact that it was with my Arcturian delegation at the same time in my etheric light body form, and to be able to understand and witness how the Stargate even work with other beings who comes to the Stargate in different form in their light body, and then they go right in the center of it, and then the activation take place. It was a very beautiful gift. And so, Pragit, thank you for bringing that up today.
Yeah, and it's great because so often people feel like this is just an idea or a concept when we invite them to call for an etheric stargate. And so perhaps your explanation and experience can help them allow that etheric stargate to have a more powerful effect on them by recognizing on some level from your experience that there's a reality when they're calling this forth. Many people feel it, but now I'm just inviting everyone to really tune in to what Viviane has just shared, so that when you invite that etheric stargate, you really allow yourself to open up to it more.
There's a big mystery here to me, Viviane, and it's what really is the etheric stargate? And it's so cool that essentially what I hear you saying is that you were able to visit out of body a place where the etheric stargate was working with a bunch of people, but that must have been in another dimension. Which is so cool. And what you're saying is in alignment with what Cryon has said before, which is the Stargate can meet you wherever you are, however spiritually evolved you are. There's always a next step. So this is maybe a rhetorical question, but I'm just so curious, like how this etheric stargate is actually connected to the fabric of the cosmos itself and the consciousness of the universe.
Well, that's a small question.
Yeah.
Well, let's explore in a small portion. So right away, because now there is a consciousness to consciousness understanding and imprint or blueprint that has been established between my being and the consciousness of the Stargate. Right away, what the Stargate shows me, and I'm honored to receive that, is that etheric presence in the form of a very specific configuration or energetic pattern configuration as you see physically behind you. What you see behind you is truly a small aspect of what the Stargate is really about. And what I'm receiving through my third eye is the understanding that the Stargate in the etheric majestic form, it's part of a very large network of other Stargate. It's almost think of it as a web or a field, a very complex field that has multiple branches. Okay. And the one Stargate, the one I got to experience, because this is your work, this is your mission, this is what you were meant to bring back at the stage of consciousness to the planet, moving into the organic timeline of ascension, or re-ascension to be precise. But that one is one strong point on a very large network. And And to satisfy the mind, we can say that, let's see, for the purpose of evolution on the planet, let's just say that there's at least, it's a 12-dimensional structures of Stargate system. They're all interconnecting. So it's almost like, imagine one being, one super advanced conscious being that has projected itself into 12 aspects of itself, or 12 different aspects. And each aspect will be represented through a Stargate. In the structure I saw just recently, just a few weeks ago, it's exactly the way physically you were able to recreate it based on your connection, who you are, who you channel, your work, and who you're meant to be in this lifetime. You brought this structure here so we can have a physical frame of reference in order to expand beyond that physical frame of reference and to be able to understand the group consciousness, so the presence, the omnipresence of the intelligence of what this etheric Stargate represent. So there's almost like a 12 counterparts to it that we can have access. And this is also part of surfing the new timeline. This is all intertwined. It really is all interconnected, because the more we allow ourselves to move into that more elaborate state of consciousness, understanding, experience, opening, shift, vibrational movement, we're going to start to understand. And when you bring, I say we because I'm so used to speak as a we, but when you bring, of course, the Stargate energy, eventually what we'll do, with your permission, is helping people to even go beyond and start to feel and explore that network that is available to us. And there's so much more that we can do. Again, I speak as a we because I am in part of this Nocturne Collective family. So to properly answer your question, Jules, is very much the way we perceive it. It's a doorway. It's one of really powerful doorway that allows us to unlock so many more in the multiverse. And this is brought back at this point because, again, it is completely interconnecting with surfing the timeline, embracing the new frequencies, bringing in the new grid system that is also affecting the alchemy of your body and how your body responds to that as well. So in a nutshell, yes.
Well, it's great listening to you, because many of the things that you've said, Alcazar has been saying and describing. And Jean in the one of the chat boxes has said 12 plus 1, 1 being the original and the 12. And Alcazar, right at the very beginning, when I was doing workshops with 12 or 20 people, Alcazar said, you're going to create 12 plus 1 centers around the world. And so your perspective of that is fascinating, because it's aligned very much with what I was told, way back in the beginning. And so this number 12 is something which actually resonates universally.
Yeah. So, Viviane, can I ask your perspective on the timeline shift that we achieved in cause, and also where we are now and where we're going?
Yes, thank you for asking, Jill. As always, your questions are always amazing. We have co-created together an important shift in the actual timeline that was absolutely necessary. So when we physically in this linear time met and reconnect back in last December of 2022, that was coordinated through Alcazar, both your superconsciousness or known as your higher self, and my Arcturian avatar self. We were already starting to see that the conjunction coming out of 2022 going into 2023, we were moving into what we called a binary years, like two timelines very much intertwined with each other, like a binary star system, if you would. So what that meant was that 2023 has been designed all along to create a very specific shift at different time, a different moment on the calendar. Like when we were in Maui working with the Lemurian masters, and you've done more work, I've done more work in parallel. Then we crossed our path again. We went to Costa Rica. Then we went with my group in my online community. We went to talking to the guardians of Stonehenge. That was another big one. And the guardians were talking to me. They told me, they said, "What took you so long, little hybrid?" And I said, "I have to come to the planet and come to that space. It takes time." So they talked to me about what is shifting, even their role, the way they're holding space. Some of them are ready to shift and leave that site so they can move on to other higher assignments. So everything is constantly evolving. Even rocks that you see to the mineral kingdom, they are shifting. They're no longer staying in the same vibration. So that was another point. And of course, the huge point was through Egypt and the gathering in Kosh in Greece this year. What we've done is think of it as all the seeds that's been planted throughout the entire year. And of course, I want to also honor all the light workers who have been doing their own work. Everything counts. Everything matters. But when we came together with 1,200 people in person and how many more on the live stream, because you matter also. When we came together, we have, think of it as give breath. We gave the new breath of life into all these seeds. And that's what has caused positively to stabilize the conjunction of where we're shifting into 2024. Because 2023 and 2024 are really energetically very much intertwined. And because of the depth of the work that we have succeeded to manage to do, we've already set the pace for 2024. We're already in that field right now. It's already in motion. But to you, from a linear perspective, you are at the end of a calendar year. We perceive time differently. And I know Alcazar speak of it as well, is that 2024 is already unfolding now. So what happened is that right now we are in two overlapping timelines. You see my hands on the screen? So 2023 represent the old aspect of the third dimensional frequency. Life as you know it, the actual structure, whether it's cultural, political, medical, all the above. This is where we are right now. Now, the other overlapping, like a bridge over that timeline, this is what we call the potential of the organic reascension timeline into the higher state of fifth dimensional frequency. Now, without being said, we must clarify something. The fifth dimensional frequency is only a point of reference. It's a baseline. Why? Because once you reach that point, you will see that beyond your reascension, there's going to be more. You're not stopping there. You're moving, you're continuing to evolve. So we choose to reference the fifth dimensional frequency to give you a point of reference to understanding the movement of the dimension and the vibrational shift, if that makes sense, right? In that way. So it has been very challenging, especially since we came back from the gathering, for many people, because we feel the pull. It's like a pendulum swing. We can pull back into the third, We get, emotional response, we have family things, we have life situation, and then we feel the pull of moving more. There's more to me. I know I can go. So we are in these two conjunction. What is very, very important, and I know it's redundant, but it's essential, is to make a conscious choice, body, mind, spirit, and heart, in terms of which timeline or which frequency are you really sustaining the most. So I'll give you an example. Right now, as we're having this really enlightening conversation, in parallel in my life, I am dealing with a little bit of a legal issue. And you would say that's very 3D, right? And I said that to illustrate a point. And yet I'm still very much who I am. We are still having this enlightening conversation. We're still going to be doing all the work that we need. And in parallel, I am also dealing and addressing that little legal issue. That's because this is what I choose. I stayed in my baseline of a higher fifth dimensional frequency as a nocturne being, acknowledging this human experience that my husband and I are dealing with right now, and allowing myself to still stay centered with that part of me and still primarily focusing on this fifth dimensional frequency timeline or reality that is coming in, knowing that the 3D aspect of this little legal issue may blossom into an opportunity to hear, clear, and reveal something higher. So I am allowing myself to give you a very personal example so you can better understand what we speak of at that point. And I know that many of you, like you, Scotty, and I know many of you are going through a lot of shift in your third dimensional life situation, even though you choose to be on your path and maintaining a higher frequency. But that's the secret art, A-R-T, and art, to navigate between parallel of realities, understanding that you're still shifting, vibrating, and surfing into the next timeline nonetheless. So right now we are at that conjunction of resolving these little point of tension, right? Whether it's personal relationship, whether it's shift in the house situation, whether it's, in our case, this legal issue, whether it's banking issue, because I know some of you personally. So I do want to create that example because there's some tension point that bring us in that oscillation. The good news that it changes nothing to the fact that we're still surfing the new timeline. That's the beauty of it.
Well,
how does it feel?
Yeah, we seem to have more than one issue. As most people know, we're having to leave the home that we've been in, but there's other issues also happening at the same time. And from what I'm hearing from people and feeling that so many people are in this situation where there's not just one, but perhaps several challenges happening simultaneously. And to stay focused on that higher perspective is a challenge, because the mind keeps on bringing you back to, well, how am I going to resolve this issue and that issue and the other issue? And on one level, I know that just by staying focused and clear, things tend to resolve themselves. In a way, you attract a more perfect solution. But also, I'm very aware that, especially for us as pure humans, rather than having that other aspect as well, it's quite challenging sometimes. And it's easy to drop into worry and concern. So it's really important to kind of pull ourselves out of that when we find ourselves going down into fear and judgment.
Very well said, Pragit. So imagine a reservoir of energy, and you say, okay, from this earth human experience, I feel tension, anxiety, I am concerned, and I feel stress. Just allow yourself to feel it. I feel movement in my solar plexus as well. But what I do is I understand the point of origin of these emotions or sensation. Stress, anxiety, concern, or level of fear are experiences. So you can look at that experience and says, if I step outside of that frame of that reference, whether it's an issue with a bank or having to move or a legal issue, I'm going to look at it like an object outside of myself, looking at it and understanding the different angles to it, what this is really is telling me. So for example, it can be potentially an underlying fear of losing protection, home, or roots, or feeling that there's something more profound in me that is shifting, it redefining my root system. And so that becomes a perfect opportunity, an opportunity to understand what this situation is creating. So in my case, what we're going through, I understand exactly what this is about. I know I decoded it. So from there, because I understood the decoding behind the situation, now I'm starting to see that it's already creating higher opportunities. Now will be the good time to step into your universal self, so to speak, and says, now that I do understand a bigger reason or the decoding for this event in my life, I'm going to bring in my fifth dimensional universal aspect of myself, and I ask the quantum field to now co-create and manifest now the perfect solution or the perfect set of solutions that will serve the highest and the greatest good of all. And read into it, feel it, becoming one with it. Because remember that when situations happen, like in your case, unexpectedly have to move. The thing is, it's not just about you and Jules and the moving, it's also opportunity to create lessons or bigger self-realization for the other parties or the other people who are part of it. So in our situation, what we are going through right now is we're clearing something that has been created many months ago out of a distortion based on deception, based on manipulation. So we see that there's also great lessons for those who are involved. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I understand more and more deeply that I attract these challenging situations in order to evolve. And moving from our home is a really deep issue. And on a personal level, I see it's inviting or asking me to move from my stable way of living my life and elevate that into being more present, more open to do what I'm doing, to sharing what I'm sharing, and whatever else is being asked of me that I'm not really aware of yet. And so it's much more than finding a different house to live in. It's about changing the way that I'm living my life in a way.
That is also part of surfing the next timeline. Look at both of you. I want to honor both of you, Pragit and Jules. Both of you are going through a lot of changes in your life, both on a personal, spiritual, work-wise, and even environmental. The environment is your house. So like in the analogy of a turtle that needs to change shell in order to grow, it's just a figure of speech. What we are seeing on a higher level is that this potential change of environment, it's going to support you more in terms of the next level of who you're becoming. Deepening your channeling ability, for example, and this is just a word, deepening your ability to connect, experiencing new heart energies, rediscovering different aspects of what love, compassion, great divine presence, kindness are about. And all of this are preparing both of you individually and together as a family to the next phase of what this next timeline will be about. Now, going back to what I saw, now that I know, felt, experienced, and understand the essence, the consciousness of the Stargate, I understand also of its requirements. So because both of you have been the chosen direct vessel, and we're here to be supportive with our delegation, of course, those changes, environment, places, it's also allowing you to rearrange or realign yourself with the grid system is coming to the planet. Some of us will need to stay where we are because we're going to be point of anchor. We're going to anchoring more where the timeline's coming in, and others I'll ask to move so they can shift and realign themselves even energetically. And I see that for you for 2024. I see that there's another aspect through the Stargate that is coming in. So those changes right now are necessary to initiate the next phase of that transformation and who you're going to settle in to be that next level of yourself coming through. And that is reattuning you with the Stargate, among many, many other things, of course. So when we explore an aspect of what serving the timeline is about, and we apply this in our life, like what we're doing right now, it allows everyone to gain a much bigger perspective. And this is what we perceive as well. It opens your field of receptivity more, with more clarity, more presence. So when you ask, there's a solution. When you ask a question, an answer comes clearly. It allows you to be more in that sense of receptivity, movement, transmission. And that field of receptivity is just as necessary as the gift that you have themselves. This is reconnecting certain bridge or bringing certain point of connections. And this is something we've seen coming. Again, 2023 has been instrumental to building 2024. And I must say, just a little tiny here. The 2024, I can already see a little door opening into 2025. So just to tell you how much fluid this is, and there's so much, we are finally in that more fluidity movement. There's something else happening that we collectively, everyone on the planet, have been preparing for. And the old souls, like Ryan will say, you know it. The starseed, you know it. For those who all these sacred lineage within you, you know it. And big sigh of release, like, oh, we're going finally. Finally, it's coming all together.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, you've been talking a lot about our specific situation, but this applies to everyone in their unique situation, and this ability or this intention to open and be more receptive to the guidance and the availability of support on these other dimensions. So for everyone not to get really focused on what's happened to Jules and I, but to apply that to their own individual situations is really important.
Yes, we become an inspiration. That's why it's conveyed that way. We are always comfortable to talk about some of my human experience because it's a point of reference to inspire you, all of us, everyone. So if you look at the way we can move through situations and understand them and decoding them and extracting truly the essence of what this is about, well, it gives everyone that inner strength and clear your third eye and reopen your heart. It brings you back into more certainty, feeling more grounded into this empowered, loving presence that you are. So this is what it's about. It's about inspiration.
You just mentioned a phrase, clearing your third eye. Would you like to say more about that and how we can all do that?
With joy, of course.
A simple suggestion you can help us with?
Yes, definitely. A simple suggestion will be really release yourself from the projection of your lower mental mind. Because if you look at the field, it's like a band of light around the head, so to speak. That band of light is like an asteroid belt. Think of it like the planet has many satellites that rotate in the lower Earth orbit or even a geometric orbit. And over time, if they come obsolete, they just stay there and then they send more satellite. Obsolete, more satellite. So they create a lot of debris, right, around the low Earth orbit, or called a LEO. Well, it's something very similar with the thoughts of your lower third dimensional mind. It's designed to keep you safe. It's designed to respond to more primal, instinctual response energies, like going into the lower chakras, fight or flight, protection, safety, basic, all of this. When you start to transcend that, you can clear all the debris that floats in your mental field consciously. And how you can do that? Just to your thought and your intention. Take a deep breath and imagine and feel that you are clearing out any form of floating, recurring pattern of thoughts around fear, any level of fear, anxiety, stress, concern. Instead of retracting yourself in terms of what will happen to me, my safety is in place, what is the change about? I'm afraid of the unknown. When you're retracting your field, you also retracting the electromagnetic field of your heart, or known as the intelligent field of your heart, and everything becomes retracted. So what happened is that you no longer have the immunity to understand life situation, changes, solar transmission, words, intentions, or even emotions. You're too retracted. And that's where the lower mental mind kicks in, thinking it will protect you based on past experience, based on past programming, based on actual frame of reference. The mind will look for what it knows and build from this. So when you recognize that, right now, at this moment, am I in a retracted field? If yes, that's okay. Just like acknowledge it with kindness and compassion. Take a deep breath and right away feel that you're reopening the intelligent field of your heart. Breathe in the light, exhale light, and expand. Breathe in light and expand. More light. And feel that you're re-expanding your light, your energetic field, the connections to your heart. Then ask your mind to bridge itself with the mastery and the wisdom of your heart. Now look at the same situation or the same emotion, thought, or even anything you wish to have clarification on. From this point of expansion, bridging the mind to the heart, now ask again. Now reveal to me the truth behind this situation. Reveal to me the truth behind this emotion or this thought. And observe as you keep expanding, breathing light and exhale light, expand. By doing so, you're allowing the mental mind to transform, graduate, expand into higher mental faculties that stabilize this luminous bridge of interconnection between your heart, mastery point, wisdom, ancient knowledge, and the ability to understand, decode, bring discernment, and apply this ancient wisdom, this knowingness into practical ways. And then from there, you can feel and see also opening through your third eye, because this bridge between higher mental faculties and a heart wisdom, it invites your third eye to open. It's like removing a lens on top of it, removing a veil that may have overshadowed your third eye. So feel the connection opening. Let the light flow through you. This is your natural state. You are light. So return to a more natural state. And then ask again. And see from that perspective what comes to you. Beautiful. Let's take a deep breath and release. And when you open your eyes and you look in front of you, you look around you, or even inside of you, what shifted? Where are you right now? We said yesterday, I was part of a panel discussion and talking about empowerment and the next stage of consciousness. And the first thing my group said is, remember that no one has come back here to the earth to reinvent the wheel. We are rediscovering the wheel. And that's what we're doing together. And this is why our messages, Alcazar, the commander, both your ability to bring to the consciousness of the Stargate network, Cryon, and many others are very similar tangent of message. We're very much in conjunction with each other. And why is that? Because exactly we are rediscovering facet of that wheel that allow all of us on the planet, no exception, the potential of rediscovering truly the nature of the universe, the nature of who we are, and what this earth, this celestial being is about. And when you start tapping into this, there's no going back. The transformation is permanent. It becomes a part of you. And I know both of you and all of you listening and watching are testimonial of this. You know what we speak of.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Of course.
Still feeling that light coming through. Like,
yeah, there's a tangible, energetic shift. I want to do this process again when I get home and just give myself time to really feel that opening and that expansion, that heart wisdom. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, Prakit, and I will serve everyone so very well. You may say, you know, for very ancient intergalactic beings, what you just shared with us seems very simple. And yet, when you start to harness the power behind it, For us, your empowerment for now, it's number one. And everything that we share, convey, or co-create together, we have this presence, this frequency, this energy to really supporting you, returning to the full empowerment that you are. And as you live empowered life, which we call return to the essential of living, this reality, it's become obsolete. You're stepping into the co-creation. You understand when you want to work with the builders of form and the great architects of universe, dimensions, realities, what the premise they use. Well, it's an essence of it. It's really is a premise of it. It's returning to be the great architects that we are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We did a show yesterday with John
Burgos from Beyond the Ordinary.
Oh yes, with John.
And
yeah.
he brought up the concept of being in the void, which was fascinating because that's something that, you know, Alcazar talks about. And Alcazar has been saying we're in this kind of void space between literally letting go of the old and the new coming in, which is very similar to what you've just been saying. And I've forgotten where I was going with it now. Yeah, what was it? Oops.
But I almost wanted to talk about this too. And
Oh,
one
go
of the
ahead.
things that he said at our Thanksgiving workshop is it's sort of deeply uncomfortable for us as human beings to be in this void space. And the lower mind, if you will, or the human mind wants to jump in and create certainty and create the new. And yet we're kind of being held in this void space of not, our impulse personally, for example, is like, it's not quite time to just actively reach and create. And you said something very similar about this with the timelines. This new timeline hasn't quite taken us yet. The old one is, so we're at this like, and one of the things Alcazar said that I found fascinating is that actually starting to become more comfortable being in this void space and creating from this void space is what enables us to begin to operate as the new humans, where we're creating not from the need for certainty, but we're creating through the co-creation with synchronicity, which takes trust. It takes the ability to, as you said, Viviane, shift from that lower mind layer into that higher layer of knowing that we can create in these new ways, and that it takes patience in a certain way.
And Joan is reminding us that Alcazar says so often, there's nothing to do. And that really brings in, it's not about doing as such from this lower mind place. It's about connecting and creating. But creating is not so much of a doing in the way that we've thought about it in the past. It's an intention and an allowing. And one of the things that you said is, don't worry about becoming enlightened. Don't think you have to work towards becoming enlightened. You just have to remember, because we've been there before. And as you said, this is just a repeat and an expansion on something we've done before. It's the continued growth of who we are and existence as a whole.
Okay. So we're going to come together again with you, Viviane, on the solstice on December 21st. And we were hoping to connect in a little bit to what the intention is going to be for that event. And you all can put it on your calendars already. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on the 21st. We're going to build a registration page for it. But today, live with the whole community, we wanted to kind of touch in And so I'm curious what your delegation may have to say about that time.
It's a great question, Jules, and we are collectively very excited and looking forward to this wonderful event together. Right away, what I'm getting is that re-exploring what the void means, what is also in terms of the stabilization of the next timeline that's coming in, the implication of it, even on structural level, how are we going to evolve? Best practice to be able to be in that space. I know that there are still level of discomfort, resistance, fear energy. So right now, humanity and the earth herself, you are reaching that very important peak of your next level of evolution, the potential of what that peak can really bring. And not only for yourself, but also for a multitude of kingdom of life that's been coexisting with you, like the animal kingdom, those beautiful cosmic beings. They have to be part of the equation. It's all the mineral kingdom, the tree nations, the elementals. It's the symbiotic coexistence of life. The more you come back into that reverence point of understanding, just like in the void, you can close your eyes and feel that you are in symbiotic coexistence with a multitude of conscious life forms evolving with you right here, right now. This is going to be a doorway, a way to get reacquainted with what the synergy, the symbiotic energy of the void can be also about for you. You're going back into this complete omnipresence, omnipotence of all there is. And that can be also generating some discomfort, fear, core of unworthiness. Am I worthy to do that? Am I allowed to even go there? And then oftentimes the pre-programming or the overlays, as we call them, of past energy, historical energies, experiences, patterns, and everything that you have mimicked and accepted in your field as yours can come into play, resurface at that moment and tell you, whoa, what are you doing? Remember, not worthy to be here. The void is too much for you. Remember, you have to fear the dark where there's nothingness. So all of these semantics are shifting. So this is another way, is that on the quantum linguistic level, we see a lot of changes in the way we're communicating the meaning of certain words, like void, all there is, healing, channeling. All these words will start to trigger people at different stages. So I feel that would be wonderful to also explore that aspect, leading into an aspect of the energy of 2024 and what's coming in. And that will be something we're going to be able to continuing exploring throughout the entire year, because much more many layers going to come and resurface. So I'm excited for the 21st.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you have another engagement coming up, and we really, really appreciate all that you've shared with us today. It's really beautiful, and we look forward to being with you on the 21st. And we're also going to have a beautiful astrologer, Linda Bird, who's an internationally recognized expert on astrology. So that's going to bring in that aspect as well.
So we'll be getting an update on what's in store for us for 2024, written in the stars with Linda Kubota Bird, and then we'll get the galactic perspective. And this void space, what you're describing, Viviane, it feels like a new frontier. It really does, like for humanity, for the way that we're able to operate, the way that we're able, as you say, like have this like synergistic energy with the unknown. So
yeah,
very much so. I like that new frontier.
Yeah.
Thank you, Viviane. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and we'll see you all again very soon.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you so
Bye-bye.
much. Much love.